What happened when I read my ex's private messages? I never planned to read his messages. Honestly, I wasn't that kind of person. But sometimes, life pushes you to do things you never thought you would. We had just broken up a week before. It was messy, loud, full of tears and words that could never be taken back. He said he needed space, and I needed answers, because something about the way he ended things didn't sit right with me. He had been distant for months. The late replies, the sudden "I'm busy" texts, the cold hugs that once felt like home. You know when you can just feel that someone's heart isn't in it anymore? That's exactly what it was. But what I didn't know was why. A few days after the breakup, he forgot his laptop at my place. We had lived together, so it wasn't unusual. He texted me saying he'd pick it up the next morning. I told myself not to touch it. But that night, the laptop just sat there, staring at me from across the room. And the thought kept echoing in my mind. What if there's something in there? What if I finally find the truth? My hands trembled as I opened the lid. No password. Of course not. He always said he had nothing to hide. The moment the screen lit up, my heart pounded like it wanted out of my chest. I opened his messages. And what I found changed everything. At first, it was harmless. Conversations with friends, work messages, memes, nothing out of the ordinary. But then I saw her name, Lena. My stomach dropped. Lena wasn't just anyone. She was my friend. Or at least, I thought she was. I clicked, and I wish I could say I stopped there. But I didn't. The first message was from him. I can't stop thinking about you. Her reply came seconds later. If only she knew. My hands went cold. My heart numb. They'd been talking for months. Late nights, secret jokes, flirting hidden behind innocent words. And then I saw pictures, photos of them together, smiling, happy. While I was at home crying over why he seemed so distant. Every word I read felt like a knife twisting deeper. All those nights he told me he was working late, he was with her. The trips he said were just for business. She was there too. I felt sick. But then I scrolled up, and that's when I found the message, the one that broke me. It was dated 2 weeks before our breakup. He had texted her, "I'm going to end things with her soon. I just don't want to hurt her too much." And Lena replied, "Good. I'm tired of hiding." That was it. That's when I knew. It wasn't just betrayal. It was a plan. They had planned my heartbreak together. I don't remember closing the laptop. All I remember was standing in the middle of the room, shaking, crying, and asking myself, how could the two people I trusted the most destroy me like this? I stayed awake the whole night. Every memory replaying in my head like a cruel movie I couldn't pause. The next morning, he came to pick up the laptop. He smiled at me, like nothing happened. That fake, familiar smile that once made me melt. But this time, I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I didn't beg. I handed him the laptop, looked him straight in the eyes, and said, "Check your messages. You'll know what I know." Then I shut the door, and for the first time in months, it was quiet. An hour later, my phone started buzzing. Calls, texts, apologies, excuses. Desperate words that no longer mattered. I didn't respond. Not once. Because sometimes, silence is the loudest revenge. Weeks passed, and you know what's funny? Lena tried to reach out too. She said she didn't mean for it to happen, that feelings just got complicated. Complicated? Number. Betrayal isn't complicated. It's a choice. Looking back now, I realize something powerful. Reading those messages broke me, but it also freed me. It showed me who they really were, and it reminded me that sometimes the truth you fear the most is exactly the truth you need to see. Tell me, would you have opened the messages, or would you rather live without knowing the truth? If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, just know this. Your worth doesn't depend on how others treat you. It depends on how you rise after they break you. Thank you for listening to my story. If you felt something, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real confessions that hit deep. Because sometimes the truth hurts, but it also heals. Part 2. The Other Woman's Secret. After I closed his laptop that night, I thought I'd finally reached the end of the story. I'd told myself I knew everything I needed to know. He cheated. He lied. He chose someone else. But the truth? That was only the beginning. The next morning, he showed up at my door, panicking. He must have realized I had his laptop. He started with fake concern. "Hey, I left my laptop here. Did you happen to open it?" I looked him dead in the eyes and said nothing. Just handed it to him and shut the door. For the next 3 days, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Texts, calls, voicemails, each one worse than the last. "It's not what you think. You don't know the full story? Please just let me explain." But I didn't need explanations. I had proof, or so I thought. Then one night I got a message from an unknown number. "Can we talk?" It's about him. I froze. It was her. Lena, my best friend, his mistress, the woman who had destroyed everything. My first instinct was to block her, to ignore whatever she had to say. But curiosity has a cruel way of keeping your pain alive. So I replied, "What do you possibly have to say to me?" She asked to meet, said it was important. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at a small cafe on the edge of town. The moment I saw her, I felt my blood boil. She looked nervous, tired, broken even. She started talking before I could even sit down. "I didn't plan for any of this," she said. "I swear I didn't mean to fall for him." I wanted to scream, to throw the coffee in her face, to tell her that her feelings destroyed me. But I stayed silent, because something in her tone sounded different. Then she said something that stopped me cold. "You don't know the whole truth about him." I almost laughed. The man cheated on me. What other truth could there possibly be? Lena took a deep breath. "He wasn't just cheating on you. He was cheating on both of us." My heart skipped. "What?" She nodded, trembling. "There's another woman. Someone else he's been seeing for months. I only found out after you left him." I stared at her, stunned. At that moment, everything I thought I knew shattered again. The anger that had been focused on her suddenly started to scatter, hitting everything. So tell me, if you found out your ex had not one, but 2 secret lives, would you confront them again? Or would you just walk away and never look back? Thank you for listening to my story. If it touched you, please like, share, and subscribe to Confession Chronicles, where every confession reminds us that sometimes breaking isn't the end. It's the beginning of healing. Part 3. When the past knocked again. It's strange how quiet life becomes after chaos. For months, my world had been noise, arguments, heartbreak, unanswered questions. But now, it was just silence. Peaceful, unfamiliar, almost frightening. I moved to a new apartment, changed my number, started therapy. And for the first time in years, I slept without checking my phone. Every night, I'd light a candle by the window and tell myself, I survived. And every morning, that same candle reminded me, survival isn't weakness, it's power. Then, one evening, I got a call from an unknown number. The voice on the other end was soft, hesitant. "Hi, is this Ava?" It was Lena. We hadn't spoken in months. My heart started racing. The sound of her voice alone brought back too much. "I'm sorry to bother you," she said, "but something happened." I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want any more drama. But her next words froze me. "It's about him." My stomach tightened. She said he'd been trying to reach me, that he'd written letters, not texts, not emails, actual letters. He'd sent them to her, hoping she'd deliver them. At first, I refused. I didn't need closure. I didn't need more pain. But that night, as the rain hit my window, curiosity whispered again. The same cruel whisper that once led me to his private messages. So I agreed to meet her. One last time. When she arrived, she looked different. Exhausted, but at peace. She handed me a small box. Inside were 3 envelopes, each one labeled in his handwriting. The first said, "Before the accident." The second said, "After you left." And the third, it said, "If you're reading this." My hands trembled. I opened the first letter. It was dated weeks before his accident. He admitted he'd been lost, that he'd been lying to everyone. Not because he didn't care, but because he didn't know how to care. He said he was raised to believe that love was control, not kindness. And that every woman he loved became a mirror he couldn't face. I wanted to hate him for trying to justify it. But something about those words sounded broken. Not manipulative, just broken. The second letter was shorter. It was written after the accident. He said he saw me standing in the hospital room and realized I was the only person who had ever loved him without asking for anything back. He wrote, "If I ever heal, I'll spend the rest of my life trying to deserve that kind of love. Even if you never come back, I felt tears burning behind my eyes." And then, I opened the last envelope. It was dated a month ago, just a few days before Lena called. The handwriting was shaky, uneven. "If you're reading this, it means I didn't get to say goodbye. I hurt you. I hurt her. I hurt everyone who tried to love me. But the truth is, I loved you first, and I'll love you last. Please don't waste your life hating me. Live it fully, laugh loudly, love again. Because if you do, maybe, that's how I'll finally rest." My vision blurred. For a long time, I couldn't breathe. He was gone. The man who shattered me. The man I swore I'd never forgive. Had written me a love letter from his grave. Lena reached across the table, her eyes wet. "I thought you deserved to know," she whispered. "I hated him too. But I think he was trying to change." We sat there in silence. 2 women who once hated each other, now bound by the ghost of a man we both lost in different ways. Before she left, she said something that stayed with me. "Maybe forgiveness isn't for them, Ava. Maybe it's for us, so we can finally breathe again." That night, I went home and burned the letters. Not out of anger, but release. I watched the paper curl, the ink fade, and the smoke rise into the night. And for the first time, I didn't cry. I smiled, because I finally understood that closure doesn't always come in the form of an apology. Sometimes it comes when you realize the story doesn't end with heartbreak. It ends with freedom. 6 months later, I met someone new, not dramatic, not complicated, just real. He listened when I spoke. He didn't flinch at my scars, and when I told him my story, he didn't pity me. He said, "You've already lived through a storm. I just want to be your calm." And somehow, that's all I ever needed. Sometimes I still think about my ex, not with love, Not with hate, just with understanding, because he taught me something no one else could. That love built on lies will always collapse, but love built on truth will last, even if it starts within yourself. So tell me, if the person who broke you sent a letter asking for forgiveness after they were gone, would you read it? Would you forgive them? Or would you let their words burn, just like their memory? Thank you for listening to my story. If it touched you, please like, share, and subscribe to Confession Chronicles, where every story reminds us that sometimes heartbreak isn't the end of love. It's the beginning of strength.